Hi everyone, welcome back to the last sessions, and it is the closing keynote. And it's really great that we invited Mr. Joe Foster, the founder of Reebok, to share about the entrepreneurship and give us some advice to all the audience and young people. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me to speak to your future leaders summit today, and I'm pleased to be here. It's some years since I was in Hong Kong, but I used to visit for business many times during the course of a year back in the 80s and 90s. We've also had a couple of family holidays there too. It's a place we love to visit, and many happy memories of both work and pleasure from those visits. However, I've been asked to say a few words to you about my experiences as an entrepreneur and about the current situation we all find ourselves in with the COVID-19 virus. I think first I should give you a little background on how I come to be here today, speaking to all of your future entrepreneurs. It started with my grandfather, also called Joe Foster, and he's credited with inventing the spike running shoe back in 1895. Joe saw his grandfather, who was a cobbler, repairing cricket boots. He probably asked, why had these spikes in the bottom? And his grandfather, Sam, most probably answered, it gives them better grip when they're bowling or fielding. Joe had a light bulb moment, obviously, at that point, and thought he could increase his chances at the running track. He was a member of the Bolton Primrose Harriers, and whilst he was a key member, not a very good runner. He was probably midfield in his running. But he also was a cobbler, and so his first attempt wasn't so successful, but he did keep trying, and he did succeed, so much so that his fellow runners and competitors wanted his shoes too. And so, J.W. Foster's Athletic Shoes was born as a company, and he grew a successful business from here. My grandfather was based in the north of England, and much of the business was in the south. This meant he had to find ever-ingenious ways to advertise his shoes. He created many advertisements, some we could not print today, and they were in the press, but his best ideas came from having top athletes. The winners and the most well-known sports people were his product. Influence is what we call them now. So it's not a new idea, as my grandfather proved. Having the right visibility for any product or service that you provide is a key factor in gaining success for any enterprise. So we skip forward to the late 1950s. And a lot have happened in the previous 15 years, but this is going to be too short. You're going to have to read the book to pick up on all the adventures and things we did and grandfather did. So what happened is that my brother Jeff and myself, we joined the company. I was there for 1 year before being called up for national service, and my brother did the same. He went for national service, and we came back from national service back to the Foster company, and we found a company that was going downhill very fast. It was a failing company. We tried hard, but after 2 years of trying to get my uncle and father, who had now inherited the business from my grandfather. Grandfather died in 1933. I was born in 1935. But we decided the best way we could go forward, we'd have to start our own business. So Jeff and I, we left Foster's in 1958, and we set up our own small business in the adjacent town, Bury, and we called it Mercury Sports Footwear. However, after 2 years, we were advised by our accountant at the time to register our name to protect it. And trade protection is another key element in any venture. You must protect your asset. Your name is your asset. It's your front door. So protecting our trademark was a tricky and very expensive process. However, we found we couldn't have the name Mercury. It was already pre-registered to, I think it was a British Shoe Corporation. And they offered it to us, but we didn't have the money to buy it from them at that time. So I went to see a patent agent, and he looked out of his office window. It was a very nice day at the time, and he pointed to a sign, Kodak. He said, "You need a name like that. It's just made up, made easier to register." But you just register. You've got to go back and find me not just one, but 10 names. Then we can test them on the register. It's a bit soul destroying that, to think that you can't have a name of choice, that you might have to pick one of 10 and then it's a lottery as to which you get. However, we worked hard on finding a name, and we must have had 8 or 9 different names, birds, animals, whatever. But I'm taking it back now to 1943, and I had won a running race. I was only 8 at the time. It was during the Second World War, and the prize I won was a Webster's American Dictionary. Why an American Dictionary during the war in England? I have no idea. I still had the book when we had to find a new name for the business, and I liked the letter R. So I'm leafing through and the dictionary, and I came across Reebok, a small South African gazelle. Sounded just right. Nah, that's the name I want. We need that name. Now, had the dictionary been an Oxford English dictionary, the spelling would have been different. It would have been R-H-E-B-O-K instead of R-E-E-B-O-K. And I definitely preferred the American spelling. So my brother and I began our journey as Reebok, even though it was Mercury to begin with, but we changed it. We did actually get the name Reebok, because I did go back to the patent agent and gave him the 10 names, but I said, I want that one. We have to be in love with this. It's got to be our passion. And we did get them. And what happened, though, is that in 1968, I accepted a visit to the United States, where I knew that's a market, really, that we must break into. It's a big market, so much bigger than what we could find in the UK. But the thing is identifying the key to the market. And it's very important in the development of any business, whether it's geographical location or a particular demographic. The key market identification is important. But it took me 10 years and many failed attempts to find that key to the American market. That key was Aztec. And it's a process involving Runner's World, involving the rating of shoes. But we got the right rating, which would mean that demand was there for the Reebok shoe. But it also led to me finding Paul Fireman. So I had the key and I had the person who could turn it. However, just as I found Paul Fireman, tragedy actually struck. Excuse me. And my brother Jeff, he became ill and he passed away suddenly. So now I had to deal with everything, including the production and product development side of the business, which had been Jeff's area to work on. And it was an incredibly difficult time. But you become driven by the need to succeed. And I put things in place and managed to carry on. And it is a fairly involved story, but probably better read in the book than me just trying to give you a few words about it. But coming forward in the mid-80s, and all of a sudden we came across aerobics, and it became Reebok's market. That was it. And we created products to grow the company to the #1 sports company in the world. Our turnover increased, or our revenues increased from $9 million to $30 million to $90 million to $300 million to $900 million in successive years, which, as you can imagine, was an incredible growth. However, I retired in 1989 when we were #1. We'd got to $3.6 billion. We'd overtaken Adidas and Nike, and we were the #1 sports company. But by that time, once we got to #1, my job was done. And as I said, this is only a short session. I'm not able to tell all the stories. And there are many in my book and some key moments. And I'm sure you'll be given a link for it by someone today. But now we look at a world in 2020, and COVID-19 has changed daily life in our families, businesses, and workplaces. Will we ever return to the way we lived before? Daily family life, maybe, yes. Business life, no. I think the change is here to stay. I think the social technology now has made a big 5 or even 10-year leap forward in 10 months. Remote working will probably continue. Maybe not for everybody, but the 5-day week, the daily 9 to 5 or 8 till 6 hours, I don't know. You guys out there work longer days than Europe, but it's dying away. Flexible working hours, working from home, joining colleagues in small numbers, perhaps in co-working spaces. I think that will become the new norm. But we must look for the positives. Less pollution from commuting, less stress from commuting, healthy lifestyle choices. Yeah, there are industries that cannot benefit from these changes. Factories and heavy industry have to continue. But with new working practices, where there must be opportunities for entrepreneurs, they will happen. So I wish you all, future leaders, every success. And it's been a pleasure to speak to you today. And thank you to the organizers for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your sharing. And it's a really great stories to inspire our entrepreneurs or future entrepreneurial leaders. And it is the end of our whole summit. But if our chat room will be still open, so feel free to network and meet other audience at this event and enjoy the networking. And Joe, thanks for your sharing again.